Evening. Let's go ahead and call the regular school board meeting for February to order. At JNPSD, we will be the model school district where every learner is valued and empowered to become a successful, contributing member of society. It's our mission to foster a culture of ownership and accountability through partnerships that create multiple pathways for success. Mr. Moore, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Carl Estelle, Daniel Gray,
Here.
Ava Coleman,
Here.
Jim Moore here, Ron McDaniel, Dina Tony,
Here.
Lauren Martin,
Here.
Laura Walker.
Here.
All here, sir.
Thanks, sir. All right, if you will join me as we stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First thing on our agenda, we've got a couple of special presentations. Dr. Ola, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Good evening, everyone. Our first presentation will come from Bobby G. Lester, Principal Dr. Young.
Hey, good evening, board. Good evening. So, just a few slides to go over a few quick data points. First of all, discipline last year, 23-24, at this point, we were sitting around 250 referrals. As of right now, we're sitting just under 100. So 151 total less incidents, 59 fewer behavior referrals for fighting. Actually, no fights this year on the playground, matter of fact. 50 fewer referrals in disorderly conduct and 103 fewer total classroom referrals. I thought that was a major plus for us. Looking at some specific data for learning and learning improvement, one of our big focuses for this year has been rigor and instructional strategies. And so in our classroom walkthroughs, these have been some of these. Look at the pie charts down below. You can see some of the things that we're looking for. These are typical AVID strategies, which stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And so we're looking for specific instructional strategies that promote student academic growth. The bottom are just the gray areas, just other entries, other things that we saw involving the students and engaging the students, whiteboards, choral responses, station work, small group instruction, and making sure their learning targets are posted, their essential questions, and those are our non-negotiables. And so you can see that it's been a big improvement in the overall data and instructional strategies. The top graph shows our Lexia, and you can see our starting point. That gray is 66% of the student population was below grade level material, 25% was in grade level, and 9% was above. Currently, right now, you can see that our in grade level has grown to 38%, and 22% is above grade level material. I'm very happy with that. We're doing a big Lexia push right now, Lexia challenge in our school, and come around to try to, get them excited and get them involved in growing in Lexia, which is their reading. Some of our celebrations, this last slide just basically shows some of the things we're excited about that are going on. We just received a $2,500 school grant. We're going to be using that for a month of the military child. We purchased 2 commercial bouncers with that for the school, and we're going to be doing a hot dog and chips and drinks for our military families. Backpack literacy program, we're really excited about that. The Lexia challenge I was telling you about just a minute ago, and we're going to continue that through the rest of the year. We just received $11,500 from Peer for our academic growth on our Atlas exams. We're looking at hopefully possibly putting in an East Lab. We've had overall improved building culture, decreased discipline majors and minors, staff retention, and increase in classroom rigor and learning expectations. Any questions?
Elaborate on backpack literacy program.
Yes, that's a program we started with second grade where the students get a backpack with books and then they continue to get more books and they go home with them. We started that, I think just last month. Absolutely. Anything else? Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Next, we have a presentation from the JROTC, Captain Warren and Master Sergeant Willingham, and our cadet.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Ola, distinguished guests. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. The first thing I want to do is welcome Master Sergeant Chris Willingham. As soon as he walked in the door, he was plug and play, and it was time to get ready for our inspection. And there were many long nights to include early mornings that it took to make sure that we were on spot. And I was so blessed to have him walk in that door. So appreciate having him as part of the team. And I brought up some of the members of our cadet family. We have Cadet Carter, Bryant, we have Stanish, and Robinson. So we brought them along because during our assessment in December, we exceeded standards. And it's an extremely difficult thing to have. Our cadets worked extremely hard, and we were really proud of them. It's our third exceed standards in a row, and now it is the standard for the 81st. So that's what we expect, so we're going to continue. Now the inspections went from being every 4 years; they're every year now. So we will have that added stress every single year for the next as long as we know. So we had this also allowed us to get. We should be in line for a third Distinguished Unit Award with merit. The only way that you can get a Distinguished Unit with merit is during an inspection year, and during that inspection year to exceed standards. So we've already basically checked all the boxes for that. We should hear something around April, May, or June about our third in a row, but it's our 7th Distinguished Unit Award overall in a row. We had 3 cadets that were represented, and a couple of them are here. Cadet Bryant, Carter, and Stanchel. Actually, all 3 of them are here, and they received the Top Cadet Award, which was pretty remarkable. We had 6 cadets that were coined. They had 100 community service hours or more in less than 365 days. So again, there's Cadet Bryant, Smith's not here, Ruiz, Adams, Ward, and Rodden. They weren't able to make it tonight. So pretty remarkable. That tells you that's what our niche is community service. So and they make me proud every day with that. At this point, we're 3,145 hours plus of community service. And then for junior RTC purposes, it starts on the 11th of April and until the 10th of April of this year. So we've already eclipsed the 3,000 mark. We're averaging over 27 hours per cadet. And I'm here to report that our 9th graders, there are at least 15 of them that are sitting 35 or 40 hours in their first half year with junior ROTC. They're right on track with what they need for graduation. Just recently, we volunteered at the Arkansas Food Bank. 49 cadets all made the trip down there and prepared 22,000 pounds of food, including 18.5 thousand pounds of food kits and bagged 4,000 pounds of sweet potatoes. One of the new things, this is something they had years and years ago, we have our own honor society. So we brought that back this year, and our cadets went to Biomeda on the 29th and read to pre-K through third grade. We have a blood drive coming up this Friday. Our academic team is actually competing in the 2nd level for the academic bowl. So if you do really well in that, then they send you to the DC for the competition against the other services. One of the things that we could really use some help with, if you know that special one, $200 per cadet to go to cadet leadership school or a course, and that's during the summer. Last year we sent 13 cadets, and we graduated. We sent 12 cadets, and 10 of them graduated. One got sick, and the other one got injured. But it has been critical to the point of where we are this year of having them, that leadership that they gained, being around other cadets, and it was just like basic training for an entire week. No cell phones from Sunday at noon till Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So they got to learn how to actually communicate again. And it's been extremely beneficial to our program this year. So we look at trying to send another good, we have another good group of young cadets we'd like to send this summer. Right now we have 20 on the list, so we have really high expectations. All right, sorry, I threw in a couple extra slides, but here are some of the cadets reading, doing the literacy program at Biomeda a couple of days ago, and the scholars really reacted well to it, having young people there reading to them. So, and as you can see, they wanted us to come back. We have extended out the opportunity to the other elementary schools, so we're just waiting to hear back from them before we would go and visit them too. So, y'all have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
Will you share with us where the blood drive is?
The blood drive will be right by at junior ROTC where our building is,
Okay.
in the back of the high school.
The parking lot
And
adjacent to it.
What's that?
The parking lot adjacent to our building.
Okay.
And if you will email me, I will get you, we'll find a spot for you if you want to come out and do it sometime. Dr. Ola, if you can make it 9 o'clock, we'll get you in person.
Well, I think I'm scheduled for 2 p.m. So
Okay,
your last
2 p.m.
one.
be perfect. I know Miss Biggs will be first.
Can you let us know how we can donate for the
Volunteers. But what's that?
Can you let us know how we can donate for the students to go through?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think that we're going to try a fundraiser here in the next few weeks, so we're going to try to get some money towards that. But I appreciate that.
We'll also do.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. We're proud of you and appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
All right. Is that all for special presentations?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next, we've got a legal update.
We actually, Mr. Richardson did not have a legal update. We may have a brief facility update that's not indicated on here, but I see we have a rep from Baldwin and Shell.
Really great.
Yes, ma'am.
You already have
Come
a
on
written,
down.
you already have a written report with pictures. I just wanted to check in and let you know how things are going at the Merle Taylor conversion. Right now, we've got our framing is about 90%, and we're working on our plumbing and electrical in wall, and hoping to get an inspection so we can start sheetrocking. Maybe by next week. So we're excited about that.
Very good. Y'all ahead of schedule completely here.
We had that month delay for sewer issues, but we're closing the gap that we had a delay. Now we still have, I don't know if it's been brought up, we still have a sewer issue left to tie in to, like the clinic itself is all, sewer lines within the clinic are all good. But there's a major sewer line going through the middle of the school that's crushed in some places that before they'll be able to get a CO, we'll have to do something with, but it's outside of this project scope. So,
Did we reroute around that, or is it deserted, or is it still in?
well, I think it depends. I think we're trying to see what phase 2 is going to look like, but that's starting to push
Okay.
out more and more and more. So we'll probably take a look at it as a separate issue.
Okay.
So
We gotta
sorry.
get that fixed.
Yes.
All right. Any questions?
Any questions for me, Dave?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate you
thank
coming
you.
out.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Owa, superintendent's report.
Few items that I would like to just point out. Dr. Young mentioned that Bobby Lester Elementary received $11,500 for the Peer Summit Student Growth School Incentive. I also want to mention that Merle Taylor mentioned they received $9,900. Biomeda Elementary received $9,900. Jacksonville Elementary received $20,000, and then Jacksonville Middle School received $44,000 for their summative growth. So we're proud of those achievements, and definitely welcome the funds for them to be able to use as outlined in that program. I also wanted to provide you at your desk, at your seat, is the protocol for unannounced visits and requests that I sent an initial email to our staff just in case we received any type of law enforcement requesting student information or access to the students. That protocol that you have before you is a pretty much a concise document of policies that are in place, but also state and federal guidelines too that I would like to send out to all of our staff members so that they're not in a compromising situation on how to deal with unannounced visits from state or federal officials. And so wanted to have that for your review. Mr. Richardson is also providing input as well on that document and some additional guidelines for the staff at all levels to go by. And so we have an actual protocol on how to deal with that if that situation rises. So that's before you. I also want to mention that we do have a meeting with the Planning Commission next Monday for the Warren Dupree property zoning. We're requesting to have it moved from residential or educational zoning to commercial zoning, C2 status. And so we have a presentation time of 6 p.m. Before them next Monday at City Hall. The last thing I would like to mention is that we did have legal transfers this past month. We have 2 going out and 3 coming in. And so we like the fact that we have them coming in as well. So we had 5 total legal transfers. That's all I have for my superintendent's report. Peace, Ms. Ford.
Any questions for Dr. Ola on
Ms. Palmer.
No, that's later, unless you want to provide.
We can do it now.
Yes,
Yeah, let's just go ahead and skip down to number 9. Number is that? We can't.
Can you display the item 9 on
While we're waiting on that to get set up, on our desk before us, we've got an addendum to the agenda. Sample budget of expenditures for 26-27 and consideration of the recommendations for personnel and additional budget presented. I'm going to turn a motion to add that to the agenda.
the?
All in favor? Aye. That added to.
All right, so we changed up a little bit this year, where I met with myself, Dr. Walker, and both PPC, we have certified and classified all meet and we collaborated on a calendar versus kind of pushing out multiple versions. Mostly just because there's a lot of guidance you have to follow to make sure that your calendar is, in compliance with state law. So it's easy just to have everybody in one room to make sure that, math is mapping and we don't approve something, then have to re-approve it later because the math is off. So if you want to share kind of what was important to the staff, and then what we did for calendar.
So we took a lot of feedback from previous years about staff concerns and collaborated, like you said, with all of the PPCs. A lot of things that staff have brought up in years past was being done by Memorial Day. So that was important for a lot of staff members. And so we just took feedback from elementary and secondary to collaborate because our needs are vastly different. And I felt like this year we were able to come up with something that I think will get a lot of box checks for both staff.
So you'll see school will start on August 18th, which right now is still in compliance with the law without having to do a waiver. I know there's a bill in legislature right now that I think the talks are it probably will pass, but it hasn't yet. So if it doesn't pass, we would not have to send a waiver for an earlier start date. Staff would come back on campus on August 4th, or at least teachers will come back on August 4th. Still kind of the same concept as this year where all of their required PD is knocked out the first, before students come. We don't try to, spread it out through the school year. The one and done, they come in, get it done out of the way, and then the rest of the year we have curriculum planning days that are more focused on data for the classroom and grade levels, and anything that needs to be addressed at that time is kind of sprinkled throughout the school year. Your holidays are still the same. One thing that changed, this school year was parent-teacher conferences. So this school year we did early dismissal for parent-teacher conferences. The PTC got staff feedback, and they just wanted to go back to the way parent-teacher conferences were done before this school year. So the day will be a student day for them, a full student day, and parent-teacher conferences will be in the hours of like 5 to 7. And they are going to be different days both on secondary and elementary, because that was feedback, I think.
And we changed it because there was some feedback that the secondary, middle school wanted to try something, and we did, and it was not, the high school, it was not good for the high school, and so we're going back.
The secondary wanted a parent-teacher conference once per quarter, and elementary wanted to stay with the traditional October-March timeframe. And there was also feedback, I think we got from the community, that they did not like the parent-teacher conferences falling on the same days when they have elementary, middle school, and high schoolers, and try to get to everywhere at the same time. So that will go back. That we previously had. Your Thanksgiving break and your holiday break is pretty much identical. I think that's pretty much the heavy hitters. Like I said, we are ending before Memorial Day. The last day of school for students will be the 22nd of May, and that will also be the last day for teachers. That's what they really wanted, is to just end and be done and not have to return back from Memorial Day. So they had to give up a little of some of those curriculum planning days throughout the school year to do that. So there's some really long chunks of time that there's no breaks, but that was their main thing, that they wanted to be done before Memorial Day. So I said, all right, well, if that's the case, then you can't, have a long fall break, or you can't have Good Friday off, or those type of things. So but that's what they wanted about. So
Everyone has to give up something.
yes. So on the second page, you'll see just for numbers, there's going to be 174 student days, which is what we have this year. We have 8 professional development days, 6 curriculum planning days, and then the 2 parent-teacher conference days are just for teacher contacts, because they, there's multiple days on the calendar, but they get credit for 2 days for working the extended day. So that's what it reflects to. There is 5 snow days built in, so we're on the alternative calendar. So if you kind of remember the conversation last year, an alternative calendar means that you have to meet instructional hours, and you don't have to have 178 instructional days. So that's how we're able to have 174 days. So the math is, for instructional hours for secondary, they're at 1,102. So as you see, it's above the 1,068. State law also has that you have to have 30 hours above that 1,068 to encompass the snow days. So we meet the requirement for that, and elementary is at 1,145.5. So it does make it a sound calendar, meet state requirements, and that's why we only have one calendar, because it was a collaborative effort.
Mrs. Logan, will you just briefly explain pre-K situation?
Yes. So pre-K, they will have to have a different calendar for pre-K. The reason for that is because under DHS and pre-K law, they have that mandate where they have to meet 178 instructional hours. So I know I'm still working with Ms. Bradford right now and Ms. Jones to form their pre-K calendar. What we did this year is all these the curriculum planning days that are in orange, we flip those to student days for pre-K, to meet that 178. So that's more than likely what we're gonna do for the pre-K. You'll see the pre-K calendar next board meeting, once we can get in the room and make sure that those days make sense. So this was kind of our trial and error year for pre-K, because we found out that, we can't have one universal calendar for pre-K, we have to have a separate one. So you will have some days that, you will have scholars over at Athens and, two classes at Viadita when there's no other students, in K-12.
Any questions?
I have a question, and I don't remember exactly, forgive me. But last year, did we start earlier in the area schools? Did we have did we start earlier or we were 1 week behind?
Yeah, it was,
Later.
yeah, it was a mixture of
Okay,
everything. So you had school starting the last week of July, the first week of August, actually student days. And then you had some, that started around the same time we did, and some variation of that week as well.
so how is it looking, do you know? I mean, not that we're trying to be like everybody else, but I'm just curious if we're following the same or if we're all gonna be random.
Habit just released their calendar, late last week, and they're starting, I believe, on the 12th of August. Pulaski County is still working on their calendar. I had Little Rock, and I can't remember what their start date was. Was it 7th? I think Thursday the 18th as well. So I mean, we're in the ballpark. The only one that's kind of the lonesome is so far that I've seen this habit is that early start date, but they also have an early start date this year as well.
And what you'll see with the option and legislation, with all the different waivers and alternative scheduling, you'll see a variation. Some schools are now starting mid-July, just because that's what they opted and got approved. So.
Okay, that's just curious. And that alternative calendar gives you a lot of flexibility, and if they pass law, like something that we can look at next year is, if the staff really wants to end before Memorial Day, we can push back the start date and then add more curriculum planning days, or PD days, or just staff work days, where students aren't there. But it also just alleviates some of the time that we also can invest back in our schools with curriculum, and data and reviewing data and seeing what's going right and what's going wrong, without having students on campus to impact their instructional hours. So that's something we can look at next year to pass that law.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And a motion to approve the calendar as presented, and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank y'all very much. All right. That was item number 9. So back up to item number 4, the consent agenda. We've got the minutes from the January 13th regular meeting, the 27th workshop, your assistant superintendent's reports, and the financial report. Anything that needs to be pulled down for discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve as presented. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Next item we've got, rename the old Merle Taylor building to the Titan Health and Early Childhood Center.
Yes, the rationale for the renaming, of course, we did not want to have two buildings, or refer to the previous building as the old Merle Taylor Elementary. We wanted a name that would encompass what services, or these services that are going to be located in there. So Titan Health and Early Childhood Center would incorporate those additional programs in that building. So the recommendation is to approve this rename.
Questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Got an abstention. All right, let it be noted. All right, now number 6, additional pay approval for fulfilling administrative roles.
We have a need at the Homer Atkins Pre-K Center to have an administrator right now. The administrator is out on extended leave, and so we're asking for approval to have Ms. Bradford, Christian Bradford, to fill in as interim, and then that the days that she is in that position, that she be compensated the Dean of Students role at JES, and that's the position Ms. Bradford had. And so we would also like to be able to compensate Ms. Heathwaite at a daily rate of pay for the Dean of Students position while she's serving in that role. And so the recommendation is to approve those administrative roles during this interim time.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion? A motion and a second to approve that recommendation as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Next item we've got is our personnel policy.
Yes, during the board meeting last month, Mr. Scott Richardson presented the personnel policy that was the revised personnel policy that aligns with the LEARNS Act when it relates to renewal and termination of employment. The tentative or the proposal was given to the PPC group for their review. To date, I haven't received any feedback. Ms. Former, Mr. Miller, was there any feedback from
We've heard that, Kathy, this is Kathy, not how we see the
Well, today I did not, unless Dr. Young has anything, receive any feedback, and so the recommendation is to approve the personnel policy as presented.
Do I hear a motion? Get a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, cyber security policy.
It's, board members, I emailed about a week ago this cybersecurity policy to you. It is not physically in your packet because of the security measures that DESI presented within that request. It is provided to you electronically in your folder as well, but the recommendation is to approve this cybersecurity policy that was written by DESI, and so we would like to approve it as presented.
All right. Any questions on any of that? Everybody able to access that? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, and then we have the number 9, the calendar we just did, and then on our addendum, we've got the JNPSD sample budget of expenditures for 26-27.
Board members, this is the sample budget of expenditures that we receive annually from our Beardsley group, Scott Beardsley, that will be run into the newspaper, but also be presented on the ballot in May. And nothing is changing. Our tax levy for this fiscal year is remaining the same. Our millage rate is remaining the same. And so the recommendation is to approve the proposed budget for 26-27 as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. The next item I've got is student disciplinary actions. We have 3 uncontested, is that correct, Mr. Jake? All right, those are in your iPads in the cloud. Do I hear a motion? Got a motion and a second to approve the recommendations as presented on all three together. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next item we've got is personnel. Any discussion on personnel will need to be held in executive sessions. My understanding, we need to have a brief executive session. So I'm going to adjourn us into executive session for discussion on personnel, and we will return shortly.
Yeah, we did it.
All right. We're good, Kevin? Back on. All right, we go ahead and call us back into regular session. Item 11 is personnel. We've got personnel listed for approval. We've got the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Janice Walker, contract extension. Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Bobby Lester, contract extension. Background check waiver for classified personnel. We take all those together. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Got a motion to approve all of those as presented? And a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Congratulations, Dr. Walker and Mr. Bobby. I don't see Dr. Walker here. He's not here tonight. Okay. She's working, Bob. She's not working, Bobby.
Hello.
All right, do I hear, Mr. McDaniel?
I made a motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank y'all very much.
Do we need?